Ooh, hello there. Yes, well, the weekend comes around again, I'm pleased to say. It's going to be a bit of a houseworky one, I think. Yes, anyway, today I've decided I'm going to give someone a good kicking, simply because I think they probably deserve it in a lot of ways. Yes, I'm going to blame the victim, Petronella Wyatt. For those of you that don't know, she's the working example of a very early Nepo baby. Simply famous and moves in the right circles because parents were rich people. Dad was a writer and ex-Labour MP. Moved in all the right circles, born into an enormously privileged position, which effectively, if you think about her life, and you can read a couple of links down below, Wikipedia, sort of spaffed up the wall. And she's now reached a certain age where, once again, she's not very happy. But rather than sort of blaming the fact that it might actually be her who's not very happy, she's decided in this particular article in the Telegraph to have a go at feminism. It's feminism's fault that she's unhappy and she made the choices that she did. Yes, okay then, magically somehow that's the case. Woman born into privilege decides to make choices in her life and is then unhappy. Yes, I think it's I think it's Germaine Greer's fault. Must be, obviously. She's most famous for not having children with Boris Johnson, if I can put it as delicately as that. And for her to then reach a certain age in her life, bemoaning the fact she didn't have children because the feminists told her not to, is a bit at best disingenuous. Let's just pick a little random paragraph from it. But the world has changed in the way the early feminist would find incomprehensible and grotesque. Indeed, she would view today's flag bearers as hollow and preposterous things. I sometimes think the West has outgrown the feminist philosophy entirely and should cast it off. Yes, I'm sure, for example, that Mary Wollstonecraft would have been utterly dismayed at Liz Truss, because that would be a human reaction. It wouldn't be a feminist one necessarily, though. Okay, I'm sure that all of those women that chained themselves to railings before the First World War, etc., and set off bombs and were terrorists and had to be force-fed, I'm sure that they would find it quite astounding to actually have women such as yourself who can make all those choices in your life and yet bitch about it and are paid to do so. Bombarding the rest of us with your spurious notions of what exactly feminism and feminists are. I'd love to know which early feminists she's talking about. Big part of my early degree course was looking at the history of feminism, so I'm reasonably de Beauvoired about it, one might say. But I don't recognise that in the slightest. Now, what this Petronella, Jesus, what a name, is really moaning about, of course, isn't herself, realistically. What she's saying is she's tying this lot in because we now have this broad consensus amongst the right-wing commentary out there. Anything that is left-wing is woke and bad. We therefore have this farcical spectacle of people who have the utmost agency in their lives arguing that others shouldn't. So what she's basically doing here is suggesting, and let's face it, almost any woman anywhere in the world would kill to swap places with her. Yeah, she's arguing that magically those kind of choices need to be taken away from people because, of course, it won't affect her in the same way that it never affects the wealthy, the privileged, the white gal who's always up for a laugh, until she realised maybe that the one little thing that is a problem in her life is that she is a woman. And therefore, I would argue, it's not that she needs less feminism, but actually more of it. Yes, anyway, do have a lovely weekend. If you can, stay dry.